After going through all my Apple iPhone 8 related news, I find myself here in the middle of the night. But I believe I owe you a market recap. So let's take a look at what happened today in the markets across the United States and Canada. The Dow Jones was up marginally, and so was the S&P 500. There was no major shakeups on the markets in the United States as well as Canada. Even though the TSX actually had a nice 103 gain there, there was no real major news. I mean, if you go look at your news, it's going to be pretty much Apple iPhone 8 inundated. There was a lot of stuff that did happen that might shape things in the future. There was a lot of incidental news. But coming out of such a news-driven week last week, when we had hurricanes and then we had all the people financially that were going to suffer from these hurricanes, businesses, people, otherwise, there was a lot of blowback. There was a lot to talk about. This week, we don't find even a lot of the gainers and the losers. Where is that? Over here? There we go. We don't find a lot of the gainers or the losers actually making a lot of news headlines. It's just kind of up and down because it's up and down. So let's take a look. The gap. Up again, 6.4%. The gap was here a week ago with us on a market recap. Up again. The gap isn't doing anything that's making any headlines. Jefferies came out with a new analyst call today that said the gap was undervalued. That in and of itself, in a day lacking in news, with just no real anything tangible to sink your teeth into, a Jefferies call about gap being cheap ends up driving the gap as the biggest gainer of the day in the S&P. We've got CenturyLink. If you've got an internet cable or phone cable out there late, it's probably CenturyLink's cable, up 4.2% again on news that doesn't exist. CenturyLink is closing in on a deal on a California company, and they're waiting on regulators to say go ahead. But I believe that actually has been delayed a little bit. And the news we got today was that they were expecting it to close mid-October. Mid-October isn't for a closing date that's delayed. I mean, I'm not sure how that would drive it up, but up 4.2% if you own CenturyLink. I'm sure you're probably happy with that. This is what happens in an up market. You have days where things go up for no reason in particular, but you'll take it because, hey, this is exactly what we're rooting for. This is what we're working towards when we've got an economy that's strong. It's because you built it that way. So you deserve to have days where brands are up. L Brands. That's Bath and Body Works and the greatest company ever created, Victoria's Secret. L Brands has no news as well, up 3.9% because when you got lots of money, it's good to feel good and smell good, I imagine. Right, ladies? Why not? L Brands up 3.9%. On the decline, Anthem. Now, they supply a lot of hospital and medical insurance. Now, this might be related to the blowback from last week, and a lot of insurance companies did go back up. Anthem took a moderate hit today, 3.4%, and I would think the biggest decliner that actually had some news, McDonald's, down 3.2%, as a company that does a lot of research involved in the restaurant sector said this morning that McDonald's same-store sales are down off of estimates. That's what they're estimating for the year so far, and we're going to see that, a lot of that next quarter. McDonald's was down right out the gate this morning, so at 3.2% they were down and kind of held there. It's still down. You don't want to hear down for McDonald's. I mean, I thought the McCafe news last week, we never really got into this, but they announced that their new McCafe was going to have a lot more, let's say, designer drinks. And I know a lot of people that like McDonald's coffee. I see this as a good thing for McDonald's. So same store sales down as McDonald's might be doing a little bit of tweaking. It's still a company that's definitely best of breed in the fast food industry. Our big news of the day, the iPhone 8. I mean, the iPhone 8 was the driving story. We found out it was going to be about $1,000. It's going to be delayed shipments until November. But all the specs inside of it sound just phenomenal. It's a 6-core processor with 2 jacked up cores ready to go. I mean, this thing is heavyweight. On top of that, the watch and Apple TV and everything was covered in the conference call today. Apple, they sound like they're doing a heck of a good job. They're going to go with in the iPhone. They're going to go with home built, an in-house GPU system. So this is going to be a first for them as well. So they're definitely seeing a lot of the production delays on the OLED screens being an issue, and they want to see what they can do about that. Obviously, going in-house for some stuff might be a good idea. They definitely got the money to do the R&D for it, but it's a big endeavor, especially with a big phone like this. The Apple iPhone 8 is definitely going to be quite sought after. The other big news today is the national debt. The national debt would reach $20 trillion on Friday. That's actually going to pass this year's GDP in the United States. The GDP is only estimated to be just a little over 19 and a quarter. 20 trillion is a fair amount of debt, and the United States is planning on running a deficit. Well, not planning, but they're going to be running a deficit in the $800 billion range. So things aren't going phenomenally as far as government policy, making sure that monetarily the country stays strong, but nobody's going to be calling in those debts. So the U.S. will probably make it, but that's definitely something they want to get working on. And last but not least, just when it looked like Star Wars Episode 9 had no director, J.J. Abrams, heavyweight director, has stepped in to accept the directorial role. And I'm sure he's going to do an astounding job with an immaculately done franchise up until this point. Disney, they always know what they're doing. S&P up, Dow up, TSX up, a lot of good retail brands up. Anthem took a bit of a hit. You got to expect that in that hurricane that was bound to happen. A little bit of a pullback. Anthem had kind of been spared a little bit up until this point. It's been a big day for Apple. The iPhone 8, it's going to be a bank breaker. You can count on that. I'm Cody with Wall Street Breakdown. You can click the subscribe button. You could also click the notifications bell. You could get all the videos every day that we do that might affect your portfolio. Thanks for watching.